Hi everybody, welcome to the academic writing seminar. The previous seminar, so this was our assignment writing seminar. This is kind of the assignment writing seminar, but focused on really intensifying and increasing marks, not by making you smarter, but by improving and tweaking the way you do things on a very small level. I think Izzy and Ross have been in my seminars before. I don't tend to use much writing on my slides, if anything, just a heading, so that you kind of know what's going on. It's very interactive. If you can, please use the chat to talk, ask a question. Interactivity is good. I kind of plan these around having a certain level of interaction. And after that, because then I can kind of plan what I'm going to say. Sometimes I just rant for ages. Everyone knows that. But I try not to go too off track. I'm really passionate about teaching people how to write better. Not even just how to use better language or grammar, just be better at what they do. Because it doesn't mean much being the smartest kid that knows the most. If you're getting 20% for your assignments, then you can have all the knowledge in the world. If you don't know how to apply it, what's the point? I think Izzy did the assignment writing seminar. Because at the end of the day, it's not the stuff you do that determines your mark. It's the stuff you don't do. Referencing, correct citation, grammar, spelling, formatting, all the little things that give you an easy 15 to 20% out of 100 straight off the bat. Before you even start writing, you're at 1/5 of the way there. And most students don't do that, and most teachers don't teach it for some reason. Anyway, I'll stop ranting. So what did we cover previously? We looked in the previous 10 weeks at a bit of a top-down look. So looking over the entirety of assignment writing and how to write better essays, reports, how to find sources. Whereas this coming will be a lot more, what's the word? Concentrated. It's not the right word. Right, Izzy. Why is it important that we have the correct sources? Or Cooper or Ross, anyone? Why is it important? Why are sources important? Why is understanding what a good source is important? Just type it into the chat. I'll sit here and wait all night. Izzy, why is it important that we get good sources? Cooper, so what you're saying is valid. Most adults don't understand this. Go on your Facebook account, look at your news feed, and look at all the people going on about coronavirus and Trump and all these other conspiracies. What's the common theme? There's either no sources or the sources are crap. The average person doesn't know what a good source is, but you should. So examples of good sources: government websites, so .gov, not .co, rarely .com.au or .com. Textbooks are generally not considered an academic source. Sounds weird, I know, but go to the back of your textbook. There's no references there. So, as Cooper said, give credence to what you're saying. If I come out and say the COVID vaccine is going to give everyone chickenpox, and then they're going to die. Am I an expert? in chickenpox. I'm an expert in certain things, but certainly not chickenpox. So why should anyone believe me? Subject matter experts, professors, lecturers, researchers can make claims without having someone else's information. You in grade 11 or 10 cannot. And it's not just finding the right sources. It is finding an array of sources. Finding sources that disagree with you. There's I don't know if everyone's confirmation bias. There's three main things that affect academic people when they work. Confirmation bias. Anybody know what it is? And Facebook, Google, and YouTube are very, very good at just funneling things that people they want to see and not showing them anything they don't want to see. So if you have a bias towards something, you will find information to support what you're saying and nothing else. There is, I think I spoke about it last time, but the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less someone knows, the more confident they are in saying it. So a first year medical student knows absolutely everything about medicine. They are God's gift to being a doctor. By the time they get to their fourth year, they realize how much they don't know. Compared to, they know more, but they realize how much they don't know. I think it's called the peak. The peak of Mount Stupid is at the top when people with the lowest level of knowledge have the highest level of confidence. The effect of bias that's inherent in everybody will make you look for things that only support what you have to say. And there was the third one, and now I can't remember. Dunning-Kruger bias. Oh, there's one more. Imposter syndrome. Anyone ever heard of or come across imposter syndrome? So the more someone is relied upon or respected, the less they feel like they should be giving people advice. I struggle with this all the time. Our tutors ask me something. They might be teachers, they're more qualified than me, but they still ask my opinion. I don't feel like I should be giving them advice because they have this idea that I don't know anything, or I don't know as much as they do, so I shouldn't be giving advice. So what does that mean? Stupid people will only read what they want to read. They will say things with so much confidence that guess what? Other stupid people believe them. Actually, I shouldn't say stupid people believe them. I probably shouldn't say stupid people at all, but whatever. People are I know very intelligent friends, people that I taught at university with, people I did research with that have gone down the road of COVID-19 conspiracies. Very highly qualified. Because someone said, in a convincing enough way to them, believe what I said. Now, we're not going to go down the road of the psychology. I actually have a video of the psychology of conspiracy. Okay, so what is academic writing? What are the key differences? Izzy, I know you know these. Don't be shy. Or Cooper, or Ross. Non-academic writing is what you do in grade 8, grade 9. Get to grade 10, 11, 12 in university, and your standard of writing needs to come up. Formality, spelling, grammar, referencing. Coincidentally, the things we're doing in this. And as I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter how much you know. How much you know is completely irrelevant when you're writing an assignment. If you don't write it properly, if you don't reference properly, if you don't format it properly, if you use bad spelling, bad grammar, it's all over the place, it's not written coherently. It doesn't matter how good your assignment is, the maximum you can get is probably about 70%. Which is a whole lot of wasted time. If you've gone through all the energy of reading it, who's done an assignment where the teacher said, I couldn't find much wrong with it, you've answered the question, but here's a B. Because it wasn't perfect, because it had all of these little things in it that had you proofread, edited, you would have picked up on. Again, things that we will go through in this seminar. So the idea is that by the time you get to the end of this, early next year, the first batch of your assignments will start to come out, and then you can make a plan, a more intelligent plan on how you're going to write this. I'm not going to teach you anything here, not about subjects. Will simply be, this is how you improve your academic writing, which will help you improve your grades at the end of the day, without having to learn anything new. So, again, we'll use essays and reports as the kind of reference tool that I'll be talking about. So essays, anyone know what an essay is, or what an essay is for? In which, what would we write an essay about? Classic one is to compare and contrast. It is not for displaying data. Again, won't rant on too much today, but the amount of times you get an assignment and it's been written in the wrong format, it is absolutely brilliant, but it's in the wrong format, so they get a fail straight away because you haven't written it in the correct style. Essays are generally comparative, or they're making an argument one way or another. You have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Sometimes more. But you don't make recommendations. You're not displaying information or data. It is purely to show, for the most part, compare and contrast, or put forth an argument. Not very common in the sciences. English, legal studies, business, a lot of essays. Sciences, mostly reports. And a toddler coming to say good night. Yeah, so essays are not for displaying information, not for making recommendations generally. So, referencing. The easiest way to get 5 marks, or even 10 marks sometimes, out of 100. At university, you are expected to know how to reference. You'll get a crash course in your first year, maybe, depending on what your course is. If you don't reference properly, it will be instantly assumed that you just plagiarized. I went through, I don't know if anyone's used it, but Turnitin. I did on the assignment writing seminar last time, which finished last week. What's the word? I can't think. we did a Turnitin session, so having a look at what the Turnitin feedback is and how to interpret it. But referencing, we will spend 2 entire weeks just learning about referencing. How to reference properly, why it's important, what happens if we don't do it. And by the end of it, you'll never want to see Harvard or APA reference ever again. So, Cooper, I think this one's especially important for you. I'll send you the document that we use to plan out our research investigation. And Ross, I think you guys both doing chem or bio or physics or all of them. I'll send you the guide that we use for that. This is the one in science everyone loses marks for. And again, we spent a good hour going over this. I might send you the recording. Sorry, I just died. Proofreading and editing. I definitely ranted hard in this one that it is not your teacher's job to tell you you've spelt the word cat wrong, or you've put an apostrophe in the wrong place, or you haven't answered the question. Handing in, dare I say, half-assed drafts is a big part of why people don't pass. Or they hand in a draft, the teacher corrects all the things that they should have been correcting themselves. Proofreading, editing is the #1 way to ensure you don't lose stupid marks. And when you give your teacher your draft, they only have about 5 minutes per assignment, tops. They're feeling nice, maybe 7 or 8. They won't sit there. They will sit there and they will edit all the easy things. Oh yeah, there's this. But they won't actually look at your assignment and what you've written, how you've written it, have you answered the question. They will just pick out all the stuff that you've been too lazy to figure out yourself. You know when there's a spelling mistake. You know when there's an apostrophe missing. Don't give that to your teacher. Give your teacher perfect work so they can give you feedback on what is important, which isn't the spelling and the grammar. You should be able to figure that out yourself by proofreading and editing. So the draft, I just ran to then. The draft is the most underused tool that you'll ever have. Most people don't care. They hand in, oh, the teacher will tell me what to do. No, the teacher won't tell you what to do. They'll give you a cut. If you hand in the teacher half the assignment a week before it's due, you're not going to get anything out of that draft. Hand them something that you'd be just about happy to hand in your final draft. Because then they can give you proper targeted feedback, not, oh, you've missed an S here on this word, oh, paragraph spacing isn't correct, oh, it's the wrong font. All that stuff should be perfect. You want to know, have I answered the question? Have I made the right recommendations? Have I done the assignment correctly? They're the things you should be caring about. Not, I'm just going to hand and they'll tell me what to do. Your teacher has about 5 minutes if they're feeling nice. If you give them something that you haven't put a lot of effort into, guess what you're going to get back? Not a lot of effort. So this seminar series, we'll be looking at, instead of that sort of top down, we will take a really close look at all the major points that we covered. So we're going to look at examples of academic and non-academic writing, and you're going to change them and chop them. Change the wording, tell me why. Why is this crap writing? So we're going to learn to recognize when academic writing, when it's not academic. What different words can we use? Or I just create a list of words you can't use. as opposed to a list of words you can. But yeah. What else writing? Referencing, citations, just all the little things that you need to do in order to get the most out of your assignment. You spend 30 or 40 hours on an assignment, you don't really want to be losing marks for silly little stupid things. So grammar, spelling, and using correct citation. Now I might put this after the referencing. So grammar is important. If you write something, if your boss says to you, can you give me a report on these numbers? Would you write it in text speak? Would you write it in half sentences? Would you write it with the wrong there or where or fair? No. So important. Because if you want what you're writing to be taken seriously, it has to be written with correct grammar punctuation. Citations, I'm going to tack on after referencing. So, we're going to learn how to recognize our own bias. It's a tough thing because most people think, I read both sides of an argument, but they don't really. People make up their mind in their noggin, and then after that, oh. Once someone has decided something, it's very difficult to change their mind. Including you guys. So, the methodology. So this is looking at more the scientific side of things, and also the way you conducted your research. But where is the limitations? So any report you are writing in grade 11, it will ask you for the limitations. Number one limitation, I'm in grade 11, so it's probably not perfect. Number two, I don't have access to every single scientific journal. So how to recognize the limitations of what you're doing. I'm going to tack on citations to that one, I think. So, being formal, precise, and unemotive. So, why is it important to write with formality? Any ideas? Yes, Izzy, that is technically correct. To get better grades, yes. So we need to provide the reader with all of the information, and they need to understand the meaning and need to understand what you're writing. The biggest thing is avoid colloquialisms, avoid slang. And most people, this might shock you, but you can't use abbreviations. Shouldn't is written as should not. Two-word verbs. We have to use formal language. Because formal words are precise. There's no ambiguity with a formal word. So no colloquial words, no slang. Words, people write things in a way that people understand, which is your grammar and spelling. Emotiveness. Should we use emotional language when we're writing, or should we? Well, if you're trying to if you're trying to convince me of something, some horrific act that's happened. Hitler was the worst person in the world. I mean, it's not that hard to argue. But you would probably use some emotive language. But generally speaking, you try to avoid it in academic writing. Everyone know the two referencing styles? So we have the two major ones are Harvard and APA, or American Psychological Association. Depending on your subject, you will be asked to use either of those two. Sciences, generally Harvard. Business, legal studies, psychology, obviously, will use APA. So Harvard reference, and they are both similar enough that people lose marks by not checking. We'll also use and play around with automatic reference generators. We did one with citethisforme.com. But we'll do a couple of other ones, including in-text referencing, all of the different reference types for each, how to put the bibliography and reference list together. I would say two of the most important weeks. So APA will be the week after that. Last time we did an hour on all of the references, including citations. This time we're going to spread it out over 3 or 4 hours because it really is the most important, I think, out of all this. If you don't reference properly and you're at uni and you're one of 40,000 students, they will just assume that you cheated. Even if you just didn't reference properly or you forgot a quotation mark or something happened, they're not going to contact you and go, oh, we think you've made a mistake. They will just fail you. So it's really important to have a grasp on this stuff. So again, we're going to do drafts again this time, but I'm going to give you an example of an assignment, maybe one from many, many years ago of mine. And we're going to learn and we're going to practice how to edit our own work. A crazy idea. Because, yeah, the teacher, it's not the teacher's job. It's the teacher's job to guide you toward exactly where you're supposed to be going, but it's not their responsibility to tell you your misspelled words or you've only written 500 words out of 2,000. So we're going to look at transitions. Look at transitions and how we can use them to make everything flow better. Depending on if we're wanting to make something an exception, if we're going to contrast it, if we're going to put something in order, there are ways that we can do that. We'll probably pick 5 or 6 different ones. Because do you know what most people's linking sentences are? As discussed in the paragraph above. Don't do that. It's very upsetting when you read that. Or, as discussed earlier in this report, or as the results show, no, we're going to learn how to transition between paragraphs, between topics. We're going to use linking sentences and all those crazy things. So we're going to learn all of the individual components. Then at the end, we're going to learn how to put it all together. Transitions, checking our grammar and spelling. Then by the end of that, you should be able to go through your draft with a red pen and know exactly where you've gone wrong. That's my aim, is that you guys, by the end of this, especially those that did the assignment writing, is you get you to the point where you don't need your teacher to go through your draft. You go through it, check everything, make sure all the writing is perfect, everything's set out properly, you've used the proper referencing style, then you give it to your teacher, and your teacher looks at this and goes, wowzers. Do you know how much more effort they're going to put in, because they can see the amount of effort you've put into them? You haven't given them something half-assed. That's my aim. The end of this is that you guys can write your own assignments. You can, what's the word? You can edit your own drafts. You can, that should be the end game, the end goal here. But by the time you get to handing in your final assignments in term 3 of year 12, before your exams, you've milked every single mark you can out of those assignments, as opposed to getting to term 4 going, I only got like 60%. Now I have to smash these exams. So I will